All right, what's up out there to all of my fellow gold diggers? This is your girl Rita, also known as the self proclaimed gold digger. If this is your first time to my channel, welcome. I am so glad to have you. But if you are a fellow gold digger, welcome back. Y'all know I love and appreciate each and every one of you. And if you're tuning in, you are tuning into what we call Tipsy Tuesday. Now, before I get into tonight's topic and everything, let me just check and make sure I am good on all of my social media platforms before we get started. Okay. Sorry, y'all. All right. Okay, we are good there. And let me just check one other place. And then I'm gonna fill y'all in on tonight's topic. All right, let me just refresh just to make sure. All right, it looks like we're good there as well. Okay, so tonight's topic, I am going to be talking about what I wish I would have known before I went to college. Okay, now if you are new to Tipsy Tuesdays, pretty much what we do is I come on live every Tuesday night at 10 p.m. and we take some sips, and I've already been sipping, but I'm just sipping on water as I share some tips. And I hope that these tips will help you in your life in some form or fashion. And you can learn from some of my mistakes as well as some of my life lessons. Now, like I said, we're going to be talking about things that I wish I knew before I went to college. Fun fact, y'all, believe it or not, I originally got started on YouTube long time ago, and my channel was called College 101, and I was talking about college tips. It was tips for college students and stuff like that. Y'all ain't had that many videos or whatever, but that was what I was passionate about. That's what I would like to talk about, and even now, still to today, I still like to help people or high school students, young adults or whatever, or teenagers I should say, who are interested in going to college or they're about to graduate and just trying to navigate their career choices or their next life steps and everything like that. Now, if you've been rocking with me for some time now, y'all know I'm not always the biggest advocate of college. I'm an advocate for education, but not necessarily college. I'm like, get your education, but it doesn't necessarily have to be the college route that you get your education. You could go the military route. You can go to like a tech school. You can go straight into the job force. But knowledge and education is important, but you don't always have to take that traditional route in order to do so. But always stay educated, always be learning. I'm big on the fact that I'm always wanting to constantly learn new things. I'm always wanting to challenge myself and grow in that regard. So I'm always big on education, not necessarily the mainstream way of education. Okay. And because of that, I am going to be talking about the things that I wish I had known prior to me going to college. So I'm pulling up my notes. I put it in my phone real quick. And I talked about this topic on a different channel with my bestie when we were doing, God, I can't find my notes. When I was doing, me and my bestie were doing girlfriend tea, we kind of discussed this as well. And so I'm going to be tackling this topic tonight. That is a tongue twister. I'm going to be tackling this topic tonight. All right. So what I wish I would have known prior to going to college. Here's the thing. I get it. I see a lot of kids and stuff like that in my office or as in my profession, my everyday profession and everything. And so I asked them, like, what are they interested in? Like my juniors, seniors, that they're at that point, I'm asking them, I don't ask them, are they going to college? I'm just saying, what do you want to do when you graduate? Because it could be anything that they want to do. They might want to go into the workforce. They might want to go to school. They might want to go into the military. So I'm like, okay, what do you want to do once you graduate? And some of them might not want to do nothing, because I have heard that as well. But I'm always interested and curious to hear what they have to say. And I remember at that stage in my life, it was pretty much already kind of spelled out. Like it was like a given that I was supposed to go to college. And I wish that was, I won't say I wish that wasn't the case, but I wish I was told about different options, or I was just told about, I don't know, just given more opportunity, so to speak. So, and I know as an African American, um, college is definitely pushed upon us, and not to say, and college is a big deal because at one point in time we weren't allowed to go to college, we weren't allowed to go to certain schools, we weren't allowed to be educated. So I get that whole aspect of it, of wanting us to go to college, but college is not for everybody. I'm going to say that right now. College is not for everybody, and that is more so why I became more so focused on get your education, but you don't necessarily have to go the college route. So for those people who are interested in going to college, hopefully some of the things that I'm about to share this evening will help you make better choices. And if you're watching this and you've already been in college, because y'all, it's been it is what, 2024? It's been 20 years since I've been in undergrad. So it's been 20 years that I graduated from undergrad. I can't even believe that. But yes, it has been 20 years. So, but if you know someone who is a high school student, who is a junior, senior, who is interested or trying to figure out or trying to navigate this next part of their journey, please feel free to share this episode with them, because I really think it will be helpful and beneficial to them. But let's go ahead and jump into it. I only got about a few, well, my list says I have 13 things that I'm going to talk about. So we'll see how many I cover and everything. So the first thing I wish I had known before I went to college was about choosing schools. Now, I'll be honest with you. Of course, you know, you're told, like, if you go to in-state schools, it's less expensive. You can get more money or scholarships and things like that. But for me personally, I already knew, yeah, I could get scholarships. I could like I knew I could get money for school, so to speak, because of my academic performance and stuff like that. I had pretty good grades and things of that nature. So I wasn't really worried about that aspect. But honestly, I really didn't look at schools from a well-rounded perspective. I mainly looked at schools. I was like, do they have my major? And do I need to write an essay? Those were the two biggest things I looked at. Do they have my major, and do I need to write an essay? And if I had to write an essay, I did not apply to that school. It's sad to say, but that's how my 17, 18-year-old brain was thinking. I was at the point where I was like, hey, I done wrote a whole bunch of papers while I'm in high school. I don't feel like writing no more papers. I don't feel like doing anything else in regards to school or whatever, other than filling out an application and calling it a day. And that was all I focused on, was, do they have my major? And I won't say all. Do they have my major? Do I need to write an essay? I also looked at the size of the school as well. I knew I didn't want to go to like a super big school. I wanted to go to like a smaller school. So that immediately ruled out like the two biggest schools in my state. So it wasn't a big deal, because it's like so many other little smaller schools that I could choose from. And then that's pretty much how I decided. But I would definitely advocate more to people who are interested in going to college. Like, don't just look at, do they have your major? Look at the class size. Look at the demographic of the school. Like, is it a HBCU? And if it's not a HBCU, what is the makeup of the school? Like, how many Black students, how many white students, how many international students? What kind of city is it in? Is it a rural city? Is it like, what is going on in that city? That kind of thing. Just look at other things and take that into consideration when you're choosing a school. Because literally, it's like, if you really think about it, it's like you're pretty much moving to a whole new city for the next 4 years of your life. So you want to make sure you choose an area that you are going to enjoy and that you feel like you're going to thrive in, and not that you're going to be wanting to, like, I don't know, someplace that you don't necessarily want to be. So I wish I just took more things into consideration when it came to choosing my school of choice. I love the school that I went to. It was a small school. Had a great experience and everything like that. But literally, those two main things were the things that I looked at, and I probably should have taken a whole lot more things into consideration. Okay. And also, y'all can let me know in the chat as well. What are some things that you wish you had known prior to going to college if you went to college? Next thing I have on my list is choosing a major or a career. So, like I said, I kind of knew what I wanted to do. But if oftentimes the students that I'm talking to, they don't really know what they want to do, what career they want to go into, or what major they want to have. So I would recommend that you want to go to a school that has, I won't say a wide array of majors, but definitely some, they have good programs. You want to make sure it's a good program in some of the things that you're interested in. Say if there's 2 or 3 things that you're interested in and you really can't narrow it down, or you don't really know what direction you want to go into, whatever schools you are looking into, you want to make sure for those few things that you're interested in that they have pretty solid and pretty decent programs. And even if they do, you definitely don't just go off of the brochure or what they have online or what they tell you when you go to like the little meet and greet at the school. You want to actually see if you can do like a college visit and actually talk to people who are in those majors. Because y'all, like I said, I enjoyed my college experience, but I also went to school around the time where it was definitely, college was definitely being pushed upon young people and stuff like that, and even now it's still being pushed upon young people. And I know my school for a fact, they were offering a major that they really did not have. So a lot of y'all know I'm an optometrist. So I majored in biology, and I chose my school because of their pre-optometry major. That is what they had. That is what they highlighted. And I also narrowed down some of my choices based off of that, like who has a pre-optometry major versus people who just have a biology major. So they offered a pre-optometry major. Y'all, come to find out, as I'm in my junior year of school, I realized, hey, y'all claim y'all have this pre-optometry major, but I'm looking into optometry schools, and the classes I need to take to get into optometry school are not even required for me to graduate with this degree or with this major. And literally, I had to take about another year and a half worth of classes. Now, thankfully, I found it out early enough where it didn't cause any delays in me graduating. But literally, if I didn't advocate for myself, and I think I'm going to add this as one too about advocating for yourself. If I didn't advocate for myself, I very easily would have graduated with a degree in a major and not been able to go on to optometry school because I did not have the necessary classes. And I had to sit down with my guidance counselor at that time. And I told him that. I'm like, hey, y'all are advertising, or this is the pre-optometry program that y'all say that y'all have, but all the optometry schools have these classes listed here, and this is not even a requirement. Now, since then, they updated what was required. I don't know if they still have pre-optometry listed at my school or whatever, but this is why I say college is not for everybody, and you really have to make sure you're doing it for the right reasons. Because I get why people say, well, I went to college and I got this degree and now they can't get a job or whatever, because that could have easily been me. That could have easily been me, and not necessarily a job, but I could have very easily not been able to go on to optometry school. I have, like I said, it was like a year and a half of classes. It was like physics classes. So like physics 101, physics 102, and you usually take that in the fall and the summer. And then there was this kind of like microbiology class or whatever that was only offered like in the spring or something like that. So it's like, yeah, you would have added on like 2 years of school, or you would have had to go to summer school or something like that. You would have been paying extra money, either at your school or at another school trying to get these classes. So I totally get it when people say that they've graduated with a degree, and they're unable to go to the next level, even though they have this degree and they have this paper. So that's why I always say get educated. You don't rely on other people to provide you with that education, including the college. Including college. You have to be your own advocate, be an advocate for yourself. And I'm gonna add that to it. Advocate for yourself when it comes to your education. Know and ask questions so you can find out what is expected. And I know that can be kind of difficult because you're like, well, I'm thinking I'm going to school so that they can tell me what I need to do and what I need to learn so that I can go on and be to the next level. And then you'll find out they ain't telling you stuff, which is also, I don't mean to get on my soapbox. And hold on, I see I have some. Hey, Cynthia, thank you so much for joining. She says, hi, Rita and the Gold Digger family. And thank you. She said she liked and shared. Yes, thank you so much. So please like and share it. What was I saying? Oh, I don't want to get on my soapbox, but you definitely have to advocate for yourself when it comes to these things and getting your proper education. And that's why I'm not always big on colleges, because I feel like schools don't teach people how to think for themselves. They teach people how to take tests and how to pass tests, but they don't teach people how to think for themselves. And this is even in elementary school, middle school, high school, all that kind of stuff. It might be an unpopular opinion. I don't care. My mom's a teacher. It's not like I'm against educators or education or anything like that, but I see how they have the teachers teaching for the test instead of having the students thinking for themselves. And I'm always going to advocate, you got to be able to think for yourself. I tell people, even in my profession that I do something called vision therapy, where I'm kind of helping people learn how to use their eyes a different way. I always tell them, you're not going to see my test again when you leave here, but you need to know how to apply the things that you learned so that when you encounter a challenge that is similar to what you encountered on my test, that you'll be able to excel in it. But we're teaching to the test, and we're not teaching for them to know how to figure things out for themselves. And that is why, we have the society that we have, where we have students who are not always thriving and succeeding, and they're not being or living up to the best abilities and capabilities that they have. And I'll even use my own child as an example. He is very bright. He is very intelligent. He will pass tests. Is he doing his best? Is he learning? No, he's learned how to pass a test or whatever. But he's praised for getting, like, his teachers, and I say praised or whatever, like his teachers or his school will praise him for getting A's and B's and things like that. But he is not being an independent thinker. He's doing enough to get by. And I fuss at him all the time about this. I'm like, I know you're not doing your best. You're just doing enough to pass through these tests or whatever. But I say, always try to think and know for yourself. And that's the thing that I find fault with the school system today, is that we're just teaching these kids to pass these tests and not teaching them how to think for themselves. And it sets them up for failure in the future. And that's why they don't know how to problem solve. That's why they get on these different jobs. And it's like, oh, well, they didn't show me this way. Like, no, we didn't show you this way. But you should be able to know, based off of this particular scenario, if this happens, you should be able to kind of problem solve. And that is what the world is coming. We're looking for problem solvers, okay? Not test takers, not test passers. We're looking for problem solvers. And yeah. And that is one of the downfalls of our educational system, whether it's all the way from an elementary up into college level. We got to start teaching people to start thinking for themselves so that they can make the most appropriate choices. All right. So I'm sorry, I got off on a tangent. Let me look at these comments really quickly. Y'all, we only on... I've only did like 2.5, because I added to advocate for yourself, and I still got some more to go through. Cynthia says, agreed, you have to advocate for yourself. I tell all the children I know who are school and college to speak up. That's right, speak up. My grandpa used to say that a poor dog don't wag his own tail. I think that's what you meant. Yes, speak up for yourself. What's up, Jay Watt? Thank you for joining. I believe you had joined last week as well. All right, but let's move along. Y'all can tell I'm passionate about this because y'all, we got to do better. And like I said, I use my own child as an example, and it's like, yeah, even me, I got to do better. Like you gotta, we got to have some problem solvers and not just test takers. Okay. Here's the other thing that I wish I would have known, and this is what I tell other young people, is know the options of your career field. So usually when I'm talking to young people, I will always say, if they have an idea of what they want to do, because like I said, some kids don't know what they really want to do, and part of that is because they've been told all along, which is how we've been teaching them. They've been told you need to go to college, and they don't know what that means. What does that mean for them? They don't know what it looks like or whatever. But anyway, like I said, I'm not going to get off on the tangent. But when I talk to them and talk to people who are interested in going to college, and they say that I don't know, they say they want to be a teacher or whatever, or they say they want to be a nurse, or they say they want to be a social worker or whatever it is. I will tell them, or they say they want to be an accountant. I usually tell them to go to like Indeed or monsterjobs.com, and I'll say, look up that particular job that you ultimately want to do, and look at what what is it called? The job is, what is it? Like the job post is requiring. So look at that, whatever the job post is requiring. See what it says. Does it say what kind of degree you want to have? Does it say you have to major in this stuff? Because oftentimes people will go to college thinking they have to major in a certain field. I was the same way. I was just talking to my daughter about this because she just recently had a biology test. And I always tell people, if I would have known that I did not have to major in biology to do what I'm doing now, I would have totally majored in something else. But I didn't know that. I thought that was the path that I had to take. Now, did I need biology classes? Yes, I did. But I did not need to necessarily major in biology. I much rather would have majored in like business or Spanish or something like that, something else, and minored in biology so that I could still get my classes to go to optometry school. But I would have not have chose biology, y'all. Science is not my favorite subject. Okay. I would have definitely chose something that was just more enjoyable to me. Okay. But I have learned to get through stuff, even though it might not be enjoyable. So I always say, look at the job post, see what type of degree you need to have, and that will key you in, because some of these people, they're thinking that they can go on and be an accountant or be a social worker with a bachelor's degree, and then when you look at the job, it says it requires a master's degree, or it might require a doctorate degree, and then they're wondering why they can't get a job because all they have is a bachelor's degree, when the job that you originally were interested in or that you thought you were going to get after going through college, it requires a master's or a doctorate. So I always tell them, pretend like you are trying to get this job today and see what is required. And you will often see on those job posts, it does not say with a major in science or a major in, I don't know, social work or whatever. It just says bachelor's degree. It might just say associate's degree. It might just say a PhD or doctorate degree or whatever. It doesn't say what the specific major is. And then oftentimes too, it'll say with 1 to 2 years of experience or experience in X, Y, and Z. So when you see that, I let them know, like, so if it says that you need experience or whatever, while you're in college, you should be trying to do some internships. You should be trying to do some volunteer work, something of that nature, so you can get this experience so that you will be a more highly competitive candidate when it comes to applying for these jobs. So look at that when it comes to knowing the options of your career field. Also, I tell them to talk to people who are in that particular career field and ask them, what else could you do with the major that you have? So if they're a nurse, if they're a teacher, whatever, if they're an accountant, with this particular degree that you have, what other things could you possibly do? And I wish I would have known that as well, because it's like, even I had a very singular focus. I was going to school. I wanted to be an optometrist, but I probably should have talked to some other optometrists and be like, hey, what else could we do with our optometry degree? What else I had a very similar mindset as well. It was like, pretty much you go and I want to open up my own practice, which is essentially what I did. But it's so many other things. Well, it's other things that you can do with your optometry degree. You don't have to necessarily open up a private practice. You can be in academia, you can be in corporate, you could be in research, you could be doing different things. And it's like, I didn't really talk to people, and I won't say until it's too late, but until later, to find out what other things you could do with this particular degree. When we are so young, we have this one idea, or oftentimes, let me just speak for myself, but oftentimes when you are at that young age, you have this like singular mindset, and you have this idea of what you imagine things are going to be and how things are going to play out and what you would kind of expect from life. And life will let you know it ain't always like that. So to give yourself a heads up, ask other people who are already out there in your field and be like, hey, what else can I do? What else could you do with this degree? What do I need to gain while I'm in college? While I'm in school? What would make me more competitive? What would make me stand out? What would make me a better candidate? Okay. All right. So that was number 3. Cynthia also has some comments. So let me look at those really quickly. And I'm going to take a sip. Y'all, I thought this was going to last like 30 minutes, y'all. I'm not going to try and hold y'all like I did last week. Cynthia says, I'm an educator too. The standardized test is a big disservice to our people. Yes, it's like the teachers are teaching to the test. And I get it, because I know sometimes their pay and stuff like that is tied into it. And it's like a whole system. The system is kind of messed up. And I'm not trying to point a finger or put blame on any one person. It's just a broken system, and we're working and navigating within a broken system. And then Cynthia also says, I remember when I was in school, we were taught reading, writing, and arithmetic. When it was time to take tests, we were told to get 2 number 2 pencils and go to the gym. We were not taught the test. Yeah, and it's like, because it's like you should be able to apply the things that you know. No, given the situation that you're presented in. And I always tell my kids, I was like, always use what you know to figure out what you don't know. Because there's always going to be something that you don't know. But if you think about the things that you do know, it'll help you lead you to the answer of the stuff that you don't know. So it kind of like builds upon it. So even though you've never seen or encountered this particular scenario before, based off of your past experiences, based off of your past knowledge, you can try to figure out or come to as close of a solution or answer as possible based off of your past knowledge and your past experience. And that's just being a good thinker or whatever, or a good problem solver and figuring things out. All right. So next one I have, what I wish I would have known before I went to college, is that I should ask for help. I was big, like I never really needed help in high school because, I always did well, and I didn't necessarily have to try so hard to do well. I don't want to make that seem like I'm being cocky or whatever, but I didn't need to ask for help because things kind of came, or it seemed like things came naturally to me. Stuff was probably too easy for me, probably at the time. And then when I got to college and stuff was more challenging, I was of the mindset where it's like, okay, I should be able to figure this out on my own because I've been able to figure it out on my own. And I didn't always ask for help from like the teachers and my professors and things of that nature. But I will definitely advocate for people, or recommend to people who are in college or in school, or even in school now in general. If you are struggling in a subject, go to your teacher and ask them for help, especially you're doing all the things that you're supposed to do now. If you goofing off and stuff like that, even if you're goofing off, you should still ask for help. But do what you're supposed to do. Study, try and figure stuff out. And if you still can't figure it out, Ask for help, especially in college. This is what we paying these people for, okay? This this is what your tuition money is going towards, is these people's salaries and the services and the tutoring and all that kind of stuff that the school provides. So ask these people for help so that you're not there an extra year or two trying to figure things out on your own while your student loans are accumulating, okay? Ask these people for help if you need it. um Something else I wish I had done at the time is I wish I had studied abroad. And once again, this goes back to my very singular and limited mindset and focus. I was, I'm a little country girl. I don't know. It's like what I need to be doing going abroad or whatever. I don't know. Study abroad. Like, what is study abroad? What am I going to learn abroad that I can't already learn in the US or whatever? But I I would have loved to experience different now, I should say, now looking back, it would have been nice to experience different cultures, different settings, just to see how other cultures kind of learn and things of that nature. So I would encourage people to study abroad, and take advantage of that, because at this point in time, this is the point in time where you have like the least amount of responsibilities. So you don't have a whole lot of bills or anything like that going on. So take advantages of that time to travel and learn at the same time if possible. And let's see, looking at Cynthia. Cynthia, thank you so much for chiming in. Cynthia says she's sipping on water too. I gave up alcohol for Lent. Good for you, Cynthia. I've just been trying to be more healthy, so that's why I've been trying to drink it more often, trying to get ready for summer, but we'll see. And she says, yes, that they have so many resources for college students. Yes, they do. Take advantage of it. Ask for help. And that leads me to the next one, is to build valuable relationships. So I'm going to put these two together: build valuable relationships and get involved. Now, I definitely got involved while I was in college, participated in a bunch of different things for various different reasons. But building the valuable relationships is also very key. Some of these people that you are going to meet are going to be lifelong friends. Some of them are not. Some of them are not, okay? But some of these people you meet are going to be lifelong friends. They're going to have a lifelong impact on you. There are still people that I know of today that are providing me with opportunities. Y'all have seen Mr. Jason Mahoney. He has come on with me before. We talked about that. He has presented me with so many different opportunities, opened up so many doors for me. And we were in college together. Now, but I say that too, because I will say this: Jason and I are probably closer now after college than we were when we were in college and everything. So, but that just goes to show that you just never know who you're going to meet, and the people that you meet and the impact they're going to have later, and how they can possibly help you and benefit you and help you go to your next goal and to your next level later in life. So just be mindful of that, and know that you can make some lifelong friends or lifelong partnerships that could definitely be beneficial to you, personally as well as professionally later on in life. So it's not always about partying and all that kind of stuff. You can definitely build some lifelong relationships and valuable relationships. And some of that comes from getting involved. You got to get involved. That also helps you figure out some of the things that you like, some of the things that you excel in. Those getting involved with different clubs, organizations helps open up opportunities for you as well. Once again, personally and as well as professionally, opportunities that can be helpful later on in your life. All right. I'm going to skip over this one and save this one closer to the end. I didn't really talk about this. Other thing I would recommend is do an internship. I talked about studying abroad, but I also would say do an internship if possible, so you can get an idea of. And I wish I had done it. I actually did do this later. So going back to what I was telling y'all about, like my college had that pre-optometry major that really wasn't a pre-optometry major. So when I started looking at the optometry schools and the requirements or what they were looking for people who would be applying to optometry school, one of the things they were looking at is optometric experience. And I really didn't have any other than me doing some job shadowing in high school. So because I had, found out about it early enough, I started reaching out to other doctors in the area to see who I could possibly do like an internship with. And y'all, I'm telling you, going back to advocating for yourself, literally I had to create I had to create a whole internship process within my major, or for me to get credit for it. Because I was like, I wanted to do the internship to get experience, but at the same time, I'm like, I needed to count for a college credit as well. And it wasn't set up at the time for it to count for a college credit. So I had to go through some different channels to make sure as I was doing this internship, I would actually be getting a college credit for it as well towards my degree and everything. So, yeah, do the internship. Like I said, advocate for yourself. I don't know how many times I could emphasize that, just based off of my own story in undergraduate and everything like that, because nobody is going to look out for you better than you. So you got to know what you're up against. All right, but do an internship if possible. And that goes back to when I said that I tell students to kind of look and see what is going to be required. Like if you are applying for this job today, what are they looking for? What are they looking for in a candidate? And if they're saying they need experience, then you want to see, okay, how can I do an internship? How can I work with a particular organization or company over the summer or during the semester or something like that, so that I can gain the experience and gain some more knowledge into the career field that I am trying to go into. Along with an internship, you can also look into volunteer opportunities. I did mention that as well, because that shows like the humanitarian side of it. And usually with some of the volunteer opportunities, you get to see a lot of unusual stuff. I won't say unusual stuff, but maybe not so much. I know in my field, you don't always get to see some of the typical stuff that you would see in everyday things, because you're helping out. Sometimes you're helping out less disadvantaged people or people who just don't have the means and access themselves. Some of it, the volunteering is just like you volunteering in a regular thing, but the volunteer opportunities can definitely be helpful and can be an eye opener too, to see, yo, this was not what I thought it was going to be. Maybe I need to look into a different avenue or a different aspect of this particular career or whatever. So, and you haven't, and you want to figure that out before before you actually graduate and realize, I hate this. I hate this particular career field. Hopefully nobody will feel that way, but you definitely want to look into that. Let's see. Cynthia also has some comments. She says, it is about the experience. My niece studied for a summer in Africa. Oh my gosh, I bet you that was so wonderful. Yeah, even like that. Like I wish I could do something like that. Like now that life is life, and I don't a whole summer in Africa, I don't know how I would be able to do it. So at that particular point in time in your life, it's like you're at a time where there's really no responsibilities or very low responsibilities. And Cynthia says, look at you. They may have made an internship better for the person coming behind you. Child, Cynthia, I don't know. I just remember I hope so. I hope so. I know they changed the curriculum for the major, but it was some stuff that I had to go through to get this internship. The person was willing to, like I said, the person was definitely willing to work with me, but it was a process with the school just so I could get credit for it and be able to, like, take time out of the school day to go to the person's office and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know what they I don't know what they did afterwards or whatever, but hopefully so. It was a lot. Here's something else that, and I only got 3 excuse me, 4 more, and then we're going to wrap it up. And hopefully I'll finish at about like 45 in the next 5 minutes or so. Here's what I wish I would have known when I was in college. So you're always, once you graduate and you're set on trying to get your first job. Your first job is not necessarily going to be your last job, okay? The first job, it may not be what you thought it was what it's going to be, okay? So it's always good to get that first job, and it's always good to get a job at all. But oftentimes that first job is not necessarily going to be everything that you hope for, or everything that you envisioned or imagined. If you are so lucky, then that's wonderful. But just be mindful of that. Your first job is not going to be your last job. And I know that, like, that's the whole goal. That's what they sold us on. It's like, you need to go to college so you can get a job. And then you get this job and you be like, I don't know if I like it. I don't know if I want to be here, but they told me this is what I needed to do, go to college and get the job. Should I stay? Should I go? All this kind of stuff. But yeah, you might not like it. It might not be what you want it to be. And that's okay. All right. That is okay. And if it is everything you want it to be, that's even better. But just know it's your first job. That doesn't mean you have to stay there. And that leads me to the next point that I'm going to mention. And this applies to me personally. It's like, stop trying to check off the boxes and enjoy the journey. Because I know for me, I was just trying to check off boxes. It's like, okay, you go to school, you get a job, you get married, you have kids. I'm just trying to check off these doggone boxes so I can get to living my life. Okay. Don't be so set on checking off the boxes. Don't be in such a hurry to grow up either. Because adulting is not what you it's not what you think it is. Enjoy the journey of the experience. Enjoy the opportunities that are presented to you. Enjoy the things that you're learning along the way, and don't be so focused on checking off the box. Now, you got to have a balance, because you can't, at the same time, you don't want to be lazy either. But things are going to work out in their own time. And yeah, things will work out in their own time for you. And what is meant for you is going to come to you at that time. Also, the next thing I'm going to say is, don't be afraid to take chances. Once again, Cynthia mentioned about like her niece being able to go to Africa and things like that. Don't be afraid. This is the time. You're still young. You got time to mess up and fix your mistakes and mess ups and stuff like that. So enjoy the process, enjoy the journey, because you got your whole life ahead of you, and to figure things out and work things out as well. And the last thing I'm going to say, I saved this for last. What I wish I would have known before I went to college, and it is still the bane of my existence today, is that them student loans are absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. So just be mindful of the student loans. Now, I know this is a big debate in this country right now. Should they cancel some of the student loans, forgive student loans, all this kind of stuff? But all I will say is, in my little naive teenage mind, when I first went to college and was signing up for these student loans and stuff like that, my thinking about them is not how my thinking is now, 20 years later. At the time, I was like, student loans, okay, it's not that big of a deal. I take out $15,000 a year, for 4 years, what's that? $60,000 a year. I plan on having a salary where I'm at least making $60,000 or more. I'll pay those student loans off in a year or whatever, not thinking that how you gonna pay $60,000 off in a year when you still gotta live. You gotta pay for like your housing, your food, but at the time we didn't have those bills, so it was like, yeah, $60,000 is $60,000. I can easily pay off the student loans because I don't have any bills. We're not thinking that once we graduate, then we have to accumulate these bills in order to live and be able to thrive in society. So that 60,000 that you thought a year that you were going to have to just wipe out your student loans in one fell swoop, it is not going to happen. Those babies are going to be with you for a while or whatever. But literally, that was my thoughts. That was how I was thinking. It's like, oh yeah, 60,000 a year. Once I make that, yeah, I'll just pay these off. But I wasn't thinking about any of the future bills that I would have, or that I would have to pay for my living expenses or for transportation or anything like that. Because at the time I didn't have those daggone bills. I didn't have those to think about. All I had was the student loan, and it didn't seem like a whole lot to me compared to what I would be making or what I was anticipating making. So when I hear people say, well, they knew what they were signing up for. Yeah, we knew what we were signing up for, but it was a different mindset of how we would tackle it or whatever. It was a very young, naive, and foolish mindset or whatever. You live and you learn, and now you understand a little bit better. But at the time, our understanding about it was different than what it is now. So which is also why y'all see on my channel, I'm also a big advocate of like financial literacy, because I always say, y'all, I don't want anyone making the same mistakes that I have made, and hopefully you can learn from my mistakes. But that is all I have, and the things that I wish I knew before I went to college. I hope this helps some young person to make some better choices, especially now that we're approaching the spring season. My baby is a junior, so she'll be graduating soon and everything like that. So it's starting to hit more, or coming closer to home, as we're trying to think about her choices and what she wants to do, whether or not she's going to college or not, just different things like that. And I just want to make sure she makes the most informed choices, and I'm hoping other people are able to make the most informed choices as well. Let's see. I'm going to look at this other comment that Cynthia has, and then I'm going to wrap it up. Thanks, y'all. Thank y'all so much for joining too. Cynthia says, I did student loans. I took the maximum, and oh my, all the credit cards I got. I know the credit card companies are ridiculous. I thought I was balling. I would have told my younger self, girl, slow down. For real. It's like our mind at that time, it's like we didn't have any bills or very little bills. Like, I didn't even have a cell phone. I want to say I got a cell phone like my sophomore year in college or whatever. That's how long ago, y'all. Like I said, it's been 20 years since I graduated from college, but or undergrad. So yeah, I didn't have any bills. I had a car, but all I had to do was worry about putting gas in it. My little job at Big Lots, that was enough for me to put gas in it. I was able to buy food. I had enough money left over. I was buying other people's stuff. I was good. I'm like, if I can make it off of this $8 an hour salary, I surely can make it off of at least 60K, 70K a year after undergrad. It's like, I'm going to be really good. This is definitely an upgrade from $8 an hour. If I can make it on this, I definitely can make it with that. But yeah, our mind is totally the things I was thinking then. Lord knows. Let's see. What's up, Belford? Good to see you. He says, thinking about student loans making my stomach hurt. Had I known. I know, for real. Lord help us. God, we're going to touch and agree about these student loans. Lord, we need you to intervene like only you can. Remove them out of our presence, Lord. We ask that just like you died on the cross and paid everything in full, please pay these student loans in full, Jesus. In your precious son's name we pray. But yes, I totally feel you. I'll be so glad when these things are done, or maybe they'll mix it up and lose my student loans. I don't know. But anyway, all right, y'all. Let's see. Jay Watt says, I should have said not me, girl, to the student loans. Yes. None of us should have took out them student loans or anything. And I wasn't wasn't even taking out a lot. I know in undergrad, I was not taking out a lot. Like even so much so, I remember I had lost my scholarship like after my freshman year or whatever, and I had to pay. My part of my tuition because my parents was like, my daddy was like, "You done lost your scholarship. It's on you." Shoot, I had to put that thing on my Discover card, paying $1,200. It was like $1,200 that I still had left or whatever, and I had put it on my credit card or whatever, and I paid it off or whatever. So it's not like I was going crazy definitely in undergrad and even in optometry. It wasn't like I was going crazy. I was just, getting what I need. But Lord knows, if I would have known then what I know now, child, I would have went. I would have went to tech school. I would have tried to save as much money as possible. Like I told y'all, I said I wasn't going to any schools where I didn't have to write essays. I would have been writing essays if it meant that I was getting more money. I would have been applying to all these different scholarships. I would have been doing a whole bunch of stuff to avoid student loans and try and accumulate as much money as possible. So, don't be so harsh on some of these kids these days and some of their thoughts, because we had our own little naive thoughts at that time too. And now that life has been life and it has taught us and given us a few lumps and bruises and taught us a few lessons, now we know better. But just go back to that time when you were young and naive, young and dumb, and put yourself in their shoes and how they might be thinking and feeling and everything. But yes, thank y'all so much for joining. Please share with a teenager who you think might find this helpful so that they can get some of this information. All right. Thanks y'all for tuning in to Tipsy Tuesday. I'll see y'all next week. Take care.